in Edinburgh, Scotland, lay a secret long forgotten.
The legendary Norlock. Long gone, long buried,
long wiped from existence. Its watery depths and marshes drained and filled, hoping that its memory would be lost to time and existence.
Yet there are those few alive who remember a secret uncovered at the bottom of the loch. They thought it was filled in and buried frail.
Norlock.
Bones.
Norlock.
Human bones.
Norlock. Bones of lads long gone. And with those bones, a tale came drifting back upon the minds of old. The legend of the Ek-Ushka.
A creature that would drag many a wee bairn into the deep, dark depths of that loch for centuries before.
The Ek-Ushka was beautiful and sleek as it swam beneath the black and gently lapping waves of Norlock, cutting through its depths. But the beauty of this creature hid its dark malevolence.
For it was a shapeshifter who could mount the shores where it would gallop proudly as a fine black horse.
Many a parent was wont to tell their child as they tucked them safely into bed a story of a young boy and his older brothers.
9 older brothers.
Who, one day, just before summer, went out adventuring by the calm waters of Norlock.
As they came upon the marshy shores, they spied from a great distance a beautiful black stallion, his mane flying about in the wind, just standing at the water's edge, as if waiting for a master to ride it.
His older brothers cried out and wanted to run to it.
But the youngest boy was not as certain.
For it was a magnificent animal.
The 9 drew excitedly closer and closer to the fine steed, yet the one young boy, still held back, took up the rear of the party.
They could see now just how fine a horse it was. Its muscles rippled under a shiny coat of black, which looked wet and glistening in the lowering sun, stretched taut over its strong body.
Its eyes were clear and intelligent, shining as if with an inner light and fire.
Its mane and tail hung long and full.
Its breath came in steamy and steady bursts from its nostrils.
A fine stallion indeed! The first of the children, the oldest and the bravest, drew even closer yet. With one quick move, he grasped the mane of this fine animal. In simple response, the horse lowered its head in supplication, and the boy, with an exclamation of joy, leapt on the back.
He yelled to his other brothers to join him, and one by one they came running, and each one grasping the mane, threw themselves onto the horse's back.
All but one. All but the youngest boy, who still held himself unsteadily back.
His other brothers, high on the stallion's back, taunted him and teased him and begged him to jump on.
But he would not.
At last, the eldest of the boys, who was still no older than 12, called out to him to just come, pet him.
The boy thought better of this, but to satisfy his brothers,
And he knew if he didn't, he would ne'er hear the end of it.
he came forward to pet the creature on its nose.
He reached out with only one finger only to touch the head of the animal.
No sooner had he touched the horse than a sick feeling plunged into the depths of his stomach.
For, try as he might, try as he could not release his finger from the horse's nose.
He pulled, but it wouldn't have come loose. Seeing this, the boys tried to dismount, and no matter how hard they tried, they could not remove themselves from the horse's back.
It was then that they knew what this was. This was no horse indeed. The Ek-Ushka! With one fierce scream, the animal rose up onto its hindquarters and back down again into a ferocious gallop.
The boy ran with all of his might next to the beast, feeling the heat rising and hearing the screams of his older brothers atop as they tried to pry themselves loose.
With one gasp, the boy realized just where they were going. The steed was galloping at full pace towards the waters of Norlock.
Thinking quickly, he reached into his rear pocket where he knew he had a small knife. He flicked it open as best he could. And just at the last moment, he reached up and with the knife cut his finger right at the root.
He fell back in horror and watched as the horse Yakushka leaped high into the air and plunged into the deep, dark depths of that loch with his 9 older brothers on top and his one finger stuck to the horse's noose.
He ran to the rim of the loch. He screamed for his brothers, screamed for help, screamed for their lives. But he knew it was too late.
The water bubbled up red, and he knew that deep below the surface, the Oshka was ripping the flesh from off his brother's bones. One by one, their livers rose to the surface and floated to the shore at his feet. It was then that he collapsed, to be found there the next morn, ranting something about a horse.
Many years later, when they uncovered those bones under Nor Loch, they found gnaw marks up and down the bones of the children.
9 sets of bones, to be exact. And one curious thing.
Lying there, all alone.
Not belonging to any of the other bodies.
One single
Finger